Hi, my name's Tandy. I'm the cutman for Cage Warriors. I've also wrapped for the UFC and done over 1,000 boxing fights. We're just going to go through basic hand wrapping today. Preparations is a main part of it. You need to make sure that you've got everything ready, because especially if you don't know the fighter, you want to be ready and get everything together. Okay, so what we've got a basic zinc oxide tape. We've got a 10-yard by 2-inch gauze roll, and I'm going to go through the pads and stuff and how to make them in a second. Okay, first, so you want to start off, you just want to loosen the guy's hands up. Just a little massage between the metacarpals. Metacarpals are basically the bones that run down the hand here. You just want to make sure they're nice and spread. The damage that mainly people get to the hand is if they're wrapped and it's too tight here. So when you clench your fist, your knuckles are pushed together. You need to have it nice and loose and open to make sure when you punch it's open. So just give it a little quick massage. Make sure they're not too tight there. Okay. Preparation. We want to get the fighter to clench his fist. We want to measure how far for the pad. Okay, so he's got quite a small hand. So we basically just get our gauze. You've got your measurement here. You know how long it is. And you just make a pad. So it's just basically wrapping the gauze around your hand. You ask your fighter how thick they want the pad. Some like it thick, some like it thin. To save a bit of time, I've made one prepared earlier, so I'll go through that when I need it. Also, we need our 3 slices of tape. This is to make your bar afterwards. I'm just going to go through a basic MMA wrap. I'm going to tell you, get a lot of people going into a lot of detail, and you don't necessarily need it. Okay, so get your fighter to relax, open your hand. We start off with it. A lot of people start here and just go around. When you've got a lot of people to wrap, it's a lot easier just to stick the thumb in, so you've got a starting point. Just makes life easier in the long run. So nice and relaxed. We go around the wrist. With a boxing wrap, you go a lot deeper than this. With an MMA wrap, we're going to come to about here. And what I'm doing is I'm just keeping it reasonably tight. Going to keep checking with my fighter that it's not too tight. It's alright. And I'm going to keep going around until basically I can't see through the wrap anymore. Okay. Then again, the thumb is an optional thing. Some people like their thumb wrap, some people don't. I'd advise to do it because a lot of the damage you get is with a hanging thumb. Okay. If you get a lot of pressure on here, you can cause a lot of problems in your thumb. So if they don't know, I would suggest that they got it wrapped. So what we're doing is we're coming around the wrist. We come over the thumb here and round again, over the thumb, and again just one more time. And basically we're going to tape over this afterwards, but it's to give, you don't want obviously the tape on the skin, so it's to give it a little bit of base for the skin as well. Make sure your hands are wide open. Again, you don't want to wrap the hands with the hand closed because you're going to damage the hand. So make sure it's open. And what we're doing is we're coming from the wrist and we're coming over the top. You're not going just here and wrap it underneath, because we want to keep the palm open. So what we want to do is come from the top here, and everywhere you go, you make sure you're coming over the top. When you're wrapping the hands here, we basically want to come up to about the first knuckle. A lot of people you'll see is wrapping the hands here. If I just wrapped here, when he closed his fist, his knuckles become free straight away, so it's the whole point of putting a pad on everything else is a waste of time. So keep it reasonably tight, not too tight, and we're just coming up to about the first knuckle on the baby hand, baby finger. When we're going back, we're doing a crossover to give it the support, okay, and we're always going over the hand. And we can put the thumb back in it, and basically it's backwards and forwards. Because I'm making a bar, I want to put a reasonable amount of gauze over this part of the knuckle here. So when I turn it over, I've got a decent amount to make a bar out of. If you only do a couple of strands here, when you turn it over, there's not enough to make a bar. So I want to put a decent amount on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the pad in here. As I said, you're not putting the pad on the knuckles, you're putting it above. Okay, so it's almost to the second knuckle of the thumb, to the fingers, and to the my guide is generally your baby finger is coming up to the knuckle. Okay, so when he clenches that fist, he's got cover of the knuckles. Okay, so put that over. Again, it's going to be reasonably tight. And here it might come a bit loose, you just tuck it in. We're going to sort that out in a minute anyway, I'm going to tape it. And again, this crisscross motion just gives you more support of the hand. We want to give the fighter the most support as possible when we're wrapping. Cut that off. Okay, so that's your basic gauze done. Alright, so from here, I want to start with my tape because obviously I don't want this dangling. My bar's going to be my next route, but we want to sort this wrist out first. So we're just going to get... Again, reasonably tight but not ridiculous. Keep checking with your fire, not too tight. Okay, and then again, the same way as we went under the thumb, we're going under the thumb again with the tape. And this is just to give more protection for that hand. Not too tight. Okay, and then we can finish it there and tear it off. Just make sure it's alright, get them to crunch up, feels alright. Okay, now we make the bar. So turn your hand over. Okay, this is the material I was talking about. If you don't go round enough times, you haven't got enough material here to make a bar. In a boxing glove, you've already got a bar in it. In an MMA glove, you don't. It's basically giving the fighter something to grip onto when they're punching. So we're going to start in the middle. We're going to thread the tape through. Okay. It doesn't stick immediately, so you can be fairly flexible with it. And what we want to do is we want to get it up, stick it back down, and what I'm going to do is twist it, just so that there's no sticking that goes on between the knuckle. Get them to turn the hand over, clench your fist, and we're going to come down. The length of this doesn't really matter because we can use any that we use here just to put it in place, make sure it's staying. Okay, and I'll put the second one on. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's as long as it's covering the bar, and then you're covering that bar, so they turn it over. They're not getting stuck to between the fingers. We're just coming off at an angle again. Again, you just tear it off, and it's just more stick to make sure these don't come out of place. Because the whole point of him clenching the fist is to get that tautness on it. If that sticks down and then pulls away, you've lost all that tautness, so you're wasting your time. Okay, turn over the last one. That's a bit messy. One. You can get smaller tape for this. This is a bit thick. It depends on your costage. You'll pay a little bit more for the thinner tape, and obviously you're going to need the thick tape too. Turn over. So we're sticking it together. Let's give you a better view of that. Sticking it there so it goes between hands, stinks up. We're going across at an angle again. And again, just turn it off and make sure we're sticking it. Okay. Okay, so we've got these down. What I'm going to do is just give another layer of tape over this. Again, the support on the wrist is important anyway, so using more tape is not a big deal. So that's just, again, keeping that for when he tensions his hands, making sure these are nice and tight still. Okay. There's a lot of different rules of wrapping regarding tape on the knuckles and stuff. The basic one is you're not allowed to tape within an inch of your knuckles. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to put a stripe across. This basically just gives you a guide of where you can go to. Okay, so I'm not going to wrap this bit under here. It's all nicely tucked in. And I'm going to crisscross from here. So I'm going to go from the corner here. I'm going to come across and round the wrist again. From this side, I'm going to go in. I'm going across. You don't need to go around the wrist. Okay, tense up for me, clench your fist. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're just going to finish it off by just adding extra tape. Again, if we can work in a crisscross motion, you're giving your support, you're fighting more support. And just tidy it off so it doesn't look messy. Okay, and then basically we pad it down, so make sure that them knuckles, if you look, the reason why we're putting that so high is that when the padding's on, you're actually protecting the knuckles. So when they're punching, you've got all the padding there, it's covering the knuckles. Whereas before, if you put it lower, it's going to ride up. Open your hand. It's going to push it all down nice and tight. Make sure that hand's clenched. Again, just getting to punch. Flatten that down. Make sure it's all nice and solid. Open again, turn over. If you turn over here, you can just tidy it up. What you'll get with a lot of grapplers is that rather than get that, this is more of a support on the wrist here. You'll get a lot of grapplers that want to have it cut further down, which is, again, it's not a problem. What we'll do, come in, snip it, bring it out. And the reason they do that is that so when you're grappling, you can move your wrist. If it's up here, it's fully supporting the wrist of the punch. So again, with a boxer, you'd probably end up leaving that like that. With a grappler, you'd probably cut it out. And obviously, it just depends what they like and what they're used to. The more you cut down, the less protection you get for the wrist, but obviously the less movement you get as well. All right, so we've got our open palm. When it clenches up, we've got the bar that goes across there that we can hold on to, and we've got all that protection here. Clench up, so that when you punch, there's plenty of protection there. Plenty of protection around the wrist, and your thumb's covered too. Feel all right? Yeah. Obviously check with them. Any problems with this, I mean, I've seen it happen, I've done it myself. If it's too tight, if the fighter's unhappy with the wrap, cut it off and start again. The last thing you want is a fighter coming out at the end of the fight saying his hand's been hurting, his wraps are too tight, etc, etc. Some fighters are a bit shy, so you've just got to keep pressing and make sure everything's alright with it, make sure they're happy with it. Okay, when they finish, obviously, there might be some sort of damage to the hand or anything. Hopefully there won't be. This will obviously be a lot looser. We're just looking in, slide the scissors down, and just to cut it off. Now here, you can just pull it straight over the hand. If they've got more hand problems, you can just go over each finger, because you can't cut through that bar, it's too solid. And we just ease it off, and done. Okay, that's just a basic. There's obviously a lot more intricate ways you can wrap, but that's a basic wrap. If you wrap for the UFC, you're going to end up wrapping 8 or 9 guys in one night. So you need to make it as much protection for your fighter as you can without taking half an hour over it. Okay, cheers.